Sound like somebody said that before. Keep going. All right, keep going. What else? You said repetition. What else makes you?
If you do one thing over, you get to master. And he used to use an example when we started, just to encourage us that we can. Of course, we used to see him do great things, and we were like, we don't need to learn at this level. So he used to use an example of a duplicator. Do you know it?
Yes.
They use it in transferring the movie from a master CD.
Oh yes.
To his others.
Yes.
It has 12 shelves, and the first one is for the original master CD, and these other 11 are empty. So now it is used to copy the movie from the original to this empty. And when it is done, and then you sample one, it is like the master, though it cannot be like the master, but it is like whatever is on the master is found with this. So he used to use that example, but
yeah. Question. That's great. Thank you. Excellent. Perfect example. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. How important is the tools and material that you use? How does that play a part in producing the right product?
Of course, if you must have the right product, you need to get the best material market. And also, it does not stop on just material, but that special product. You want to make
Excellent. Now let me stand up and tell you why I asked. Excellent. All right. This is tough because you guys have a commitment, not just from me, but from God. God gave us a standard to use what He just explained. All right. You've been given some material today. You've been given some material this week. All right. You've been given some tools to use. All right. But guess what? You are the material. Let's sink in for a moment. You are the material. Now, God is the master craftsman. He's using us, the material, to build product. All right. And your product, as Charles said, is only as good as the quality of the material that you use. So in turn, you have to live out the same example Christ modeled. All right. And God gave us standard in scripture to understand this. 2 Timothy 2:2. Somebody quote it. Come on, Jacob.
What you've learned from me in the presence of many witnesses, entrusted to faithful men who also carry it on our personal
to others. So the responsibility and the command is for it to be taught to others. But who? What was the quality of the material God says must be used to teach to others? Anybody catch it? Would you write this on there for us? Sorry. I want you to see it. Seeing is believing. Y'all know how important that is. Write out 2 2. All right. Quote for us one more time. 2 Timothy 2:2. Come on, Jacob. Okay. Let us know what translation, so we'll be able to put it on the board. New King James, NK.
And the things that you have heard from me among many witnesses.
Pause one moment so she can write. And the things that you have heard from me. And the things that you have heard from me. And the things that you have heard from me among many witnesses. And the things that you have heard from me among many witnesses.
Commit these to the faithful men.
Pause. And the things that you have heard from me among many witnesses, commit these to faithful men. Commit these to faithful men. And the things that you have heard from me among many witnesses, commit these to faithful men.
Who will be able to teach others?
Who will be able to teach others? Who will be able to teach others? It's funny how once again we look at English words and translations, we go back to the Greek, but we got to remember Paul was a Jew of Jew, a Hebrew of Hebrew, a Pharisee of a Pharisee. Paul was the disciple of the most famous rabbi during the first century, Gamaliel II. Do you think he wasn't talking in Hebrew? He knew his audience. In Hebrew, that word who will be able, in Hebrew, that means to be made able. Not just having the ability, but given the ability through investment, made able. All right. And so once again, circle faithful. This is the standard. Paul was commanding Timothy to invest in faithful to teach others. That's the quality of the material. So don't be bringing me no 12 unfaithful folks on these names that we write down. I'm just saying, God can use them because it's going to end with them. You got to set the standard. Why do you think you're here? You were chosen by an individual, but God inspired every individual who is here to invite somebody else to bring you, because God considers you faithful, and you've proven it. See, I've been around you long enough. I've watched you day after day, hour after hour, moment after moment. I've seen the faithfulness in everybody here. The Holy Spirit did an excellent job, as he always does, because he chose the quality of the material in this room to teach others. We have to set the same standard. Don't lower the standard because he told me to get 12. Let me hurry up. That's why I said be patient. The reason why I said be patient, because you may start with 2 or 4, is because that may be the only 2 faithful people in your sphere of influence at that moment. Let God lead you to 2 more faithful or 3 more faithful. And this is what I heard Brother Herb say, and it rings in my voice as if he's still alive. Don't waste your time on unfaithful men and women. He says don't, because God said don't. It's not the fact that you don't invest in them in some kind of way. It's not the fact that you don't befriend them in some kind of way. It's not the fact that you don't share the word or the Bible with them. But when you talk about doing this, when you talk about this level of investment, That's why you want somebody who's willing to pursue forward. That's why you want somebody who says, I desire this. You can't force this on everybody. There's a higher expectation. There's a greater commitment. There's a deeper level of loyalty. And you have to sit back and observe and say, I see. And you have to invite and ask questions. Takes discernment, takes wisdom. It also takes you keeping your eyes open, being aware, right? And intentional. And intentional. Have a conversation, meet with them, do something. When you see they want more, give them more. Have another conversation, do something. When you say they want more, give them more. And after some point, you're gonna be like, hey, I gotta give it to them. I gotta give it to them. Right? Because they want it. So yeah, keep that in mind. But God holds us responsible. He holds us responsible. Because the product is only as good as the material used to develop it. All right. No, not yet. Let's go back. Let's go back. I'll use another example about the copy you said. So I was my former life. I was involved in music. In Memphis, we call it street music. Street music is very popular, you know, and it's what led me away from God, you know, because I kept chasing it as a dream, thinking it was going to make me rich. And I said, well, God, I'll get with you later. Once I get rich, God, I'll be serious. I remember saying the exact words, God, I know you're real. I got some business to take care of right now. As soon as I make it and get rich, God, I'll come back to see you. I'll give you my tithes and everything out of whatever I make. But right now, I know this is a reality. I got people saying I can do this. And eventually, it almost cost me my life. But God saved me, gave me another chance. And so I surrendered and said, I almost lost my life. I know what to do. In 2004, I surrendered. But when you make music, to really create music that's popular, any music or song you hear that's on radio, it's on the videos and YouTubes, and now they have they don't even make CDs anymore. You know, they just put it out there on iCloud or what's the stuff? Come on, I'm out of touch. Y'all know what the music is now. Say what the music is. What they do, you know, YouTube or whatever. Anyway, before all of that, for a disc jockey or a radio personality to play your song, you had to have a vinyl record. Old school records. I remember vinyl. Julius, Miss Ruth, do you guys remember vinyl records? You ever heard of them? No. A vinyl record. It's called an album in the States. And they used to take this record. It's made of plastic, and they put it on this machine. And it had a long, kind of like a stick with a point on it. And it kind of makes it.
A record player.
Record player. Yeah, record player. Okay. I couldn't think of it. It's been a while. All right. But to make that vinyl record, it had to be duplicated from the prototype that was made of solid gold. So we was having all this stuff going on. The guy said, man, I need your vinyls. I said, well, okay, I'll get you one. How do I get a vinyl? And the closest place you can get a vinyl in Tennessee, and I live in Memphis, was Nashville. It's about 2.5, 3 hour drive. So we called and said, okay. And the guy said, the vinyl is going to cost you $3,600. That's not for one copy. That's just for the prototype. I said, what? I said, what is made of gold? I was making a joke because I was mad. And guess what he said? Yeah, it actually is. It's a solid gold record. I said, what? And he says, yeah, because he says, if you make it from the from the copy, the plastic copy, the rest of the records will be marred. I just told you something. So you have to make every copy from the original prototype. You can't make a copy from a copy or it's going to be scratched.
Yes.
Which is why Paul said, imitate me as I imitate the solid gold record of Christ. All right, but that's the prototype, right? And so guess what? You as a builder have to first make sure you're the right material. It goes back to being before you build. The failures I've seen is people try to build before they became the solid gold record. They didn't finish the process. So just ensure and remember, as long as you remain a learner, you remain a disciple. And only if you're learning are you qualified to teach someone else. As soon as you stop learning, you disqualify yourself from teaching anyone. You have to remember that. Process and procedure. Point number 6. This is the product. P-R-O-D-U-C-K. Product. I'm sorry, don't worry about me. P-R-U-D-P-R-D-U-C-T. I don't know if it's dyslexia or J-class, but she got it right. So the product, all right, the product. So we'll be like the teacher. We'll be like the teacher. So guess what? If you're not like the teacher, you're the wrong product. And there should be somebody you want to be like. Charles, is it fair to say at some point after primary school, you ever said, I want to be like my dad? Like my father. Did you ever say that? No. But you lived it out some kind of way. Yeah. Don't know how it happened, but you are like him because you're a craftsman. You learned it from him.
It's now because all of us are 8. And, everyone.
Okay. Yeah. And I understand, because what I'm saying about being like your father, maybe I don't know his character. I don't know his faith. I don't know his lifestyle. But what you did replicate was his craft. So in that area, something inside of you said, this is desirable for me to do this. And the first person you saw to do it was who? Was it your father? Yeah. And so let me give us a principle. To be the right product, it's impossible to be the right product without seeing the prototype. Let me say it again. It's impossible to be the right product without first seeing the prototype. It's impossible to be the right product without first seeing the prototype. Now let me give us an equation. You will be what you see. You will be what you see. So let me repeat. It is impossible to be the right product without first seeing the prototype. You will be what you see. The right product without first seeing the prototype. You will be what you see, comma. I know you thought I was through, Jekko. I was messing with Jekko because he kicked back. You will be what you see, comma. And you will become what you behold. And you will become what you behold. And you will become what you behold. Now, next page. Say it in another way. Same thing, I'm just going to say it. That's a positive. You know, let me say it in a negative way. You will not be what you do not see. You will not be what you do not see. You will not be what you do not see. You will not be what you do not see. You will not become what you do not behold. You will not be what you do not see. And you will not become what you do not behold. Charles, if you never saw your father create his craft, work on the material, cut, sew, design, you would have never done it. You will not be what you do not see. Now, if you didn't see your father, you would have had to see somebody else. But you had to see it. And after you watch this, this is what behold means. Behold is a longing, longingly, lastingly, lovingly gaze. It's a constant, repetitiously looking, staring, fixed eyes, longingly, lovingly, and lastingly gazing. Longingly, lastingly, lovingly gaze. Excellent. Yeah. And this is why, if you ever heard somebody say the Whitney process of disciple making, you know, Mark 3:14 says, and Jesus called his disciples to be with him. Mark 3:14 says, and Jesus called his disciples to be with him. All right. I'll give you one more thing, and I want to go back to point number 5, and we're going to close out. The product. And this is how you know you're the right product in disciple making. This is the Jewish concept of becoming like your rabbi. This is the Jewish concept of becoming like your rabbi. Yes. This is the Jewish concept of becoming like your rabbi. And in Jewish culture, you were to imitate your rabbi in 3 ways. In Jewish culture, you were to imitate your rabbi in 3 ways. In Jewish culture, you were to imitate your rabbi in 3 ways. In Jewish culture, you were to imitate your rabbi in 3 ways. In Jewish culture, you were to imitate your rabbi in 3 ways. Yeah, I-M-I-T-A-T-E. Did you need me to help you spell? In Jewish culture, you were to imitate your rabbi in 3 ways. And these are the three ways. In knowledge,
You said acknowledge?
in knowledge,
And knowledge.
in knowledge, in wisdom, and in character. In knowledge, in wisdom, and in character. This is how you know the process has been complete. When I say complete, it's not finished. It's not over. It's not done. It's just matured. It's just matured. Knowledge, wisdom, and character. Knowledge and wisdom and in character. So these are the goals. These are the outcomes. So if you're in this process, you want to develop the knowledge of your rabbi, your teacher. You want to develop the wisdom of your rabbi and your teacher. You want to develop the character of your rabbi and your teacher. And so guess what? If you're looking for someone to disciple you, guess what you should look for? I want to evaluate the knowledge. I want to evaluate the wisdom. I want to evaluate the character. That's all right. All right. What have we learned? What have we learned? Yeah, I know. I love the silence. I love it. It's our greatest development tool. Seriously. Sometimes we talk too much. We can't learn when we talk. I love it. You know, you reflect deep in thought. Reflections, thoughts, what stands out from what you learned today? Just in this last session, since 4 o'clock, what have we learned?
I think what stands out for me is this statement where you say it's impossible to be the right product without first seeing the prototype.
Yes, yes.
So it relates to what Jesus says, you know them by their
Yes. Oh, yes.
You can be with people and but if their faith is just a matter of time, then you'll be like, you know whose prototype they are. This is really an eye opener.
Yes, excellent, excellent, excellent. Can somebody call our 6 points, outline points? Everybody remember the 6 outline points of Luke 6:40? It's okay to look at your notes. They may not know you got it. I appreciate you trying to remember. What's number 1? What's number 2? What's number 3? What's number 4? One at a time, one person at a time. Somebody go first. Raise your hand so I can choose. Come on.
Potential of prospect or students.
All right, come on here.
Potential, prospect of prosperity.
All right, so this side, y'all get in the fight. Anybody over here want to volunteer? Come on.
Potential, prospect, and
All right, one more person on the left. Come on, the age of youth. Come on, there you go. Represent the youth. Come on.
Potential, prospect of prosperity.
Excellent. And now our wise sayings in the back. Yeah. All right, all right. One more person. Come on. You over 35. How old are you? How old are you, Jacob? How old are you? You're 35. Yeah, I thought so. Right there at the threshold. Come on, represent. Say it one more time.
Potential, prospect, possibility.
All right, all right. So number 5. What's point number 5?
Process.
Nope. Process and procedure. Yeah, we didn't talk a lot about procedure. But every process has procedures. But yeah. And number 6. Right up. Right up. Great. In disciple making, there's a process that I want to share. It's one that I use in my personal life, my spiritual life. I use it at home in my family life, and I also use it in my work life. And I want to share that with you guys. All right. It's called the 5 stages of disciple making. This will go into outline point number 1, a process or procedure that you can use. Because sometimes we don't disciple other people because we don't know a process and we don't know the procedure to walk them through. And I want to help. All right. Make sure I don't mix up. All right. Let's do this today. The first one is the modeling stage. So if I'm going to disciple someone, the first thing I have to do is be good at modeling. Modeling stage. Think about what a prototype is. It's the model. Think about what Jesus did. He modeled. He set the example. So the first thing you want to do simply is not about words. It's about modeling. It's about living out what you are, what you've been built into. The modeling stage. And in the modeling stage, the disciple does, let me say, I'm sorry, the discipler / rabbi does, and right, discipler or rabbi does, and the disciple watches. Disciple watches. You know, I'm also a barber by trade. So I'm a master craftsman in my own rights. I barbered for several years, over a decade and a half. Also was a barber instructor. Was a manager of a barbershop, and eventually I owned a barbershop. You know, I don't do any of it now. I kept my own hair at times, but I remember when I was in barber school, your first 300 hours were watching on. You couldn't touch a blade, a clipper. You just had to watch somebody else, and you had to choose somebody who you wanted to watch. And once you partnered up for 300 hours, you had to come to class 8 hours a day or 6 hours a day for 300 hours just to watch. Oh, that was the most frustrating part of my life. I already know how to cut. Take the wood. Let me get at it. I don't want to just watch. I want to show you what I can do. I'm supposed to be there to learn. But for 300 hours, you have to have 1,500 hours to be qualified, but it usually takes 3,000 to actually go into a profession and be able to make some money. If you got 1,500 hours, you're still not good enough to go in the shop, professionally cut somebody in the public's hair where they're satisfied. You know, but for the first 300 hours in barber school, I need you. Look how I need you. Yeah. Sideways, everything.
Barber shop or Bible school?
Barber shop.
Like,
Yeah. Yes, cutting hair. Yeah, cutting hair. I was a barber. Yep. And so for the first 300 hours, I couldn't use any tools. I just had to watch. I was in the modeling stage, you know, the disciple maker. It's important for you. Remember, you can't be what you do not see. So as a skilled disciple, guess what? One of your first methods of training is it's just simply to have that person with you so you can model and they can watch. Come on, Rigo.
Yeah, I was just, when you said that, it reminded me when I was a small boy. My father had a tractor and he had a farm. And I was the firstborn, so he put me on the tractor with him. I was maybe 5 years old. So at 8 years old, I had been on that tractor with him so many hours, I knew exactly what to do.
Yeah.
One problem was I wasn't quite heavy. So one day, when I was 8 years old, he put me in the seat. He told me, all right, do you know what to do? I said, yeah, I know what to do. So I had to stand up on the cushion and sit down.
Yeah.
But I started driving the tractor that day.
Excellent.
From then on, we went into the logging business, the tree cutting business, the harvesting business, 10 years old, driving up and down the highway, he followed me. So that watching.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Really thought about it, watching him all that time, knew exactly what to do.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. I remember driving a car for the first time at 16 years old. Never got behind the wheel, but I always, you know, fought. I had 4 brothers, so I always fought for the front seat. My most was fighting for the front seat because I was watching my mom hit the pedals and the gas, you know, hit the turn signal and maneuver. That's why I wanted to. I don't know what they just wanted seniority and clap. I'm older than you know. And so I would do that, you know, as young as I can remember. And finally, my mom gave me the keys and said, "Yeah, I'm gonna let you drive me to the mall." Man, I jumped in that car. I bagged up. I drove all the way to the mall. No problems at all. She was like, "Somebody let you drive before?" First time. Stop lying. Who car you been driving? Mom, I'm telling you, I've never driven a car before. Stop this. My phone connected to my tablet. All right. But anyway, for the first time, it's because I had spent all of that time watching, paying attention. She didn't know she was modeling. She didn't know. So the first stage of the disciple making process is the modeling stage. The disciple maker does and the disciple watches. The second stage is the mentoring stage. The second stage is the mentoring stage. The second stage is the mentoring stage. Second stage is the mentoring stage. The disciple maker teaches, but they learn together. They do things together. They spend time together. The disciple maker teaches, but they learn together. They do things together. They spend time together and they serve together. The disciple maker teaches, but they learn together. They do things together. They spend time together. They serve together. Okay, my notes. All right. At this stage, in the mentoring stage, is the beginning of the life and truth transference. In the second stage, in the mentoring stage, this is the beginning of the life and truth transference. The life and truth transference. Somebody read or quote 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 8. That's our reference. 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 8. Sorry, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 8.
That's under which point?
This under number 2. Yeah, this under number 2. This is still under the mentoring stage. I'm sorry, 1 Thessalonians. First Thessalonians.
Says, 1 Thessalonians 2:8. So being affectionately desirous of you, we will share with you not only the gospel of God, but also our own selves, because you have become very dear to us.
All right. And so what happens is he says, I've become so affectionately desirous of you. I was willing to not only have imparted the gospel of God, but also my very soul. That's the totality of self. That's my life. The gospel of God is the truth, life and truth transference. If we're not investing that and we're not transferring that, we're investing something other than what the Bible tells us to. Life and truth transference. All right. So what's stage number 1?
Modeling stage.
What happens in the modeling stage? Yes, excellent. And what's stage number 2? All right, and what happens in the mentoring stage? Excellent. And what happens in this stage? Yes, the beginning of life and truth transference. And what's our reference verse or scripture? And what does it say? 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 8.
You can say, so being affectionate and desirous of you, we were willing to have imparted unto you, not the gospel of God only, but also our own souls.
Yes.
Because you were dear to us.
Dear to us. Excellent. Stage number 3 is the monitoring stage. Stage number 3 is the monitoring stage. Stage number 3 is the monitoring stage. In this stage, the disciple is given a platform. In this stage, the disciple is given a platform. And the disciple maker gives him room to teach. In this stage, the disciple is given a platform. And the disciple maker gives him room to teach. In this monitoring stage, the disciple is given a platform. And the disciple maker gives him room to teach. The disciple maker watches, but supervises, making corrections along the way. I'll say it again. The disciple is given a platform, and the disciple maker gives him room to teach. The disciple maker watches, but supervises. The disciple maker watches, but supervises, making corrections along the way. The disciple is given a platform, And the disciple maker gives him room to teach. The disciple maker watches, but supervises, making corrections along the way. Making corrections along the way. Somebody repeat.
That akin to master plan of evangelism, so.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, fresh out of it.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. This is what Brother Herb used to say also. He said, if you had an original thought, it wasn't yours in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. All right. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, Brother Herb is an avid fan of the Master Plan of Evangelism. That's one of his first disciple making books. Suit gave to me. He gave it to me while I was in prison.
Yeah, but he gave us a logo too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron had some. And
Yeah.
A lot of the first one had some.
Yeah. All right. So repeat what's stage number 3? What happens in the monitoring stage?
Where the disciple maker watches and supervises, making corrections along the way.
Excellent. Stage number 4. Stage number 4 is the mobilizing stage. Mobilizing. Stage number 4 is the mobilizing stage. Stage number 4 is the mobilizing stage. Stage number 4 is the mobilizing stage. The disciple assumes responsibilities. The disciple assumes responsibilities. The disciple assumes responsibilities, and the disciple assumes responsibilities, and the disciple assumes responsibilities, and the disciple maker. The disciple assumes responsibilities, and the disciple maker. The disciple assumes responsibilities, and the disciple maker moves into the background. The disciple assumes responsibilities, and the disciple maker moves into the background. The disciple assumes responsibilities, and the disciple maker moves into the background. The disciple assumes responsibilities, and the disciple maker moves into the background. The disciple begins to carry out stages 1 and 2 with someone else. The disciple begins to carry out. The disciple begins to carry out stages 1 and 2. The disciple begins to carry out stages 1 and 2 with someone else. The disciple begins to carry out stages 1 and 2 with someone else. Somebody repeat. What's stage number 4?
Mobilizing stage. The disciple assumes responsibilities, and the disciple maker moves into the background. The disciple begins to carry out stages 1 and 2 with someone else.
Excellent. Whenever I go home, I can go home in peace. Excellent. Stage number 5. Stage number 5 is the multiplying stage. 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 The disciple begins to do all 5 stages. The disciple begins to do all 5 stages. The disciple begins to do all 5 stages with someone else as the disciple maker. The disciple begins to do all 5 stages with someone else. The disciple begins to do all 5 stages with someone else. The disciple begins to do all 5 stages with someone else as the disciple maker continues to build. The disciple begins to do all 5 stages with someone else as the disciple maker continues to build. The disciple begins to do all 5 stages with someone else as the disciple maker continues to build them to be a reproducing, as the disciple maker continues to build them to be a reproducing. The disciple begins to do all 5 stages with someone else as the disciple maker continues to build them to be a reproducing, multi-generational, a reproducing, multi-generational, a reproducing, multi-generational, multiplying disciple. A reproducing, multi-generational, multiplying disciple. Multi-generational, multiplying disciple. I'll read again. The disciple begins to do all 5 stages with someone else as the disciple maker continues to build them to be a reproducing, multi-generational, multiplying disciple. We're still writing. Next sentence. The process continues to repeat itself. 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 The process continues to repeat itself as the disciple carries it out. The process continues to repeat itself as the disciple carries it out. The process continues to repeat itself as the disciple carries it out. The process continues to repeat itself as the disciple carries it out. Last sentence, last statement. Thank you for enduring. Now, in American culture, you have to write this first part, but just thought processes. In American culture, this is a philosophy coming from the American culture, the American church. While we preach what we believe, disciple makers produce and reproduce what we are. No, this is no number 6. This is another statement to number 5. Still part of number 5. It's only 5 stages in the model. Meaning, yeah, in the disciple making, it's only 5 stages. And this is the last statement in number 5. while we preach what we believe, 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 we produce disciple makers. While we preach what we believe, disciple makers produce and reproduce. While we preach what we believe, we produce and reproduce. We produce and reproduce. While we preach what we believe, we produce and reproduce what we are. While we preach what we believe, we produce and reproduce what we are. While we preach what we believe, we produce and reproduce what we are. Somebody repeat. Stage number 5.
Stage number 5, multiplying stage. The disciple begins to do all 5 stages. Where someone else as the disciple maker continues to build. As the disciple maker continues to build them as a multi-generation multiplying disciple. The process continues to repeat itself as the disciple carries it out. While we preach what we believe, we reproduce and reproduce what we are.
Okay, excellent. Somebody else.
Multiplying stage. Disciple begins to do all 5 stages with someone else, and the disciple maker continues to build them to be reproducing multi-generational multiplying disciples. The process continues to repeat itself as the disciple carries it out. While we preach what we believe, we produce and reproduce what we are.
Excellent. Somebody else.
Multiplying stage. The disciple begins to do all the 5 stages with someone else as the disciple maker continues to build them to be a reproducing, multi-generational, multiplying disciple. The process continues to repeat itself as the disciple carries it out. While we preach what we believe, we produce and reproduce what we are.
Excellent, excellent. Somebody else.
Multiplying stage. The disciple begins to do all 5 stages with someone else as a disciple maker continues to build them to be reproducing multi-generational multiplying disciples. The process continues to repeat itself as the disciple carries it out. While we preach what we believe, we produce and reproduce what we are.
Excellent, excellent. Somebody else.
The disciple begins to do all 5 stages with someone else as the disciple maker continues to build them to be a reproducing, multi-generational, and multiplying disciples. The process continues to repeat itself as the disciple carries it out. While we preach what we believe, we produce and reproduce what we do.
Excellent, excellent. Great job, great job. What's the stage number 1?
Modeling stage.
What happens in the modeling stage? Excellent. Stage number 2. What happens in the mentoring stage? Yes, what's the First Thessalonians 2:8 say?
So, affection, desires of you and ready to share with you from but there is a question of God affection our own selves.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right, stage number 3. What happens in the mentoring stage? Excellent. Stage number 4.
Responsibilities and the cycle members to the program. The cycle usually carry out stages 1 and 2 with someone else.
Excellent, excellent. And stage number 5, imparts.
The process continues to repeat itself as the cycle carries it out. When we reach what we believe, we produce and reproduce what we have.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah. And please, everybody, give yourselves a hand. Yeah, I want to share how much I appreciate you guys this week, but also how exceptional you've been. I've done this with a lot of groups over a lot of years, over multiple times, but as a whole, I feel like this group was very attentive, very engaged, very intentional, very responsive, but also appears to be very knowledgeable immediately of what you've learned. And I want to commend you for that. It says a lot. It says a lot. And so let me give a couple of disclaimers or some advice. We covered a lot. This was very intense. Don't force yourself to try to memorize so much at one time. How do we eat a horse? Anybody ever heard the old saying, how do you eat a horse? It's an American saying. I'm sorry, an elephant. How do we eat an elephant? I apologize. One bite at a time. Take it one bite at a time. I apologize. All right. But yeah, you was kind of like, man, horse. Yeah. One bite at a time. All right. So don't be afraid to use your notes. The more you use your notes, the more comfortable you get without them. All right. But this is the key, and this is a requirement, and only you and the Holy Spirit will know if you fulfill it. I recommend you rewriting these notes within the next 48 hours, no less than 72. That's a discipline that I apply to myself. Every time I sit through a teaching or training, I always rewrite my notes within 24 to 48 hours. It develops the internal person inside of you, and it builds retention. So it's recommendation, strong recommendation, all right? And it'll help. You appreciate yourself for doing it. Trust me. All right. So I know it's 5:38. We want to dismiss, but what we're going to do in the morning. All right. We're going to have breakfast, and tomorrow morning for about an hour. Hopefully breakfast will start on time. So what I would like to talk to the front desk about is we can have breakfast at 7:30. I want us to be here at 8. And from 8 to 9, we'll have closing reflections and takeaways. All right. From 8 to 9, we'll have closing reflections and takeaways. All right. Sound like a plan? All right. Well, great job. You are dismissed. Excellent.
Yeah.